Matt Rhule and the Huskers coaching staff takes over Houston, Texas.
You are Locked On Huskers, your daily podcast on the Nebraska Cornhuskers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey gang, DP here, Locked On Huskers. Thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. Thank you for your everydayers who come and hang out for the course of these episodes and, engage. We also want to thank our sponsors, the folks from FanDuel Sportsbook. Mark Onweiler, please let them know about FanDuel Sportsbook.
Thanks, DP. This episode of Locked On Huskers is brought to you by FanDuel, and you need to make a fast break to FanDuel now during the NBA playoffs because right now, new customers can get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's $2,500 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. Now, what I love about FanDuel, you get great promotions every single day in their safe and secure app, and not only that, you get your payouts instantly. No waiting for checks or anything like that. Get paid instantly through FanDuel. There's no better place to bet all the playoff action than America's #1 sportsbook. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and get a no-sweat first bet up to $2,500. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. DP, back to you.
Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it. And we want to spend some time in this episode going through Matt Rhule and this Nebraska football coaching staff in full. In camp season, this is recruiting season, this is fundraising season. This is not football season. Nothing was done yesterday or today to make Nebraska beat Minnesota. Let's put that out there in full. But business is being done. Necessary business is being done. That 90 days away from beating Minnesota, Matt Rhule and the entire coaching staff is in Houston, Texas for a series of events, a free football camp in Houston, Texas. You ask yourself the questions about why is it free? Why is it in Houston, Texas? What is the great grand purpose and mission of having said camp in Houston, Texas? Is it to recruit? Is it business connection to Houston, Texas? Is it honoring your chief of operations? Is it allowing coaches who have history in Houston, Texas to reconnect and get face-to-face with some of the talent that exist in full in Houston, Texas for the future of Nebraska football? Now, again, you can't always focus on priority one, and priority one is beat Minnesota. But you have to do the work in the business that allows you for a level of talent, increasing of networking, value, NIL opportunities. There's all these things and all these reasons that are in play. And listen, there's a fellowship event. There's the free camp. Look, there's lots going on for Matt Rhule and this coaching staff and this operations staff. But it is time to set relationships in play for coaches in Houston, Texas. And because of their coaching history and experience in the state of Texas, Matt Rhule and this staff have some niche. They have a niche there. They have some cachet in Houston, Texas. So they're taking advantage of it. And these were not official, air quotes, official Nebraska football events. These were events under Matt Rhule Football Camps LLC. And that's, I'm not shooting that. That's a straight shot, straight from the promotions of the event on social media. So that being said, immediately at these events, what you're looking for, one, it's an opportunity to get people that you're connected to, but maybe not as close in proximity as you want to be with them. So sometimes there are 4 and 5 stars where you can simply say, hey, listen, we want to invite you to the camp to get you in front of our coaches so you can see the energy, the vibe, see the drills, have some conversations, maybe measure yourself, maybe reset standards for yourself, and being able to talk. So if you're a defensive back in the state of Texas and you're not quite locked in on where you're going to be, then this is a great opportunity for you to be in front of Nebraska's coaches, the decision makers. The decision makers. So whether it's class of 2024 or class of 2025, to get yourself in front of the coaches who ultimately will make the decision on who will be a part of the Nebraska program going forward. And it helps Nebraska identify the levels of talent in the space that they're in. Anybody that knows football knows that Texas en masse is a great recruiting factory. But you also have to reset your perspective on recruiting the state of Texas. Okay. Let's say you're the top quarterback in the state of Texas. Do we know anybody that falls into that category with any connection to the state of Texas? Yes, we do. If you are the number one quarterback in the state of Texas, first of all, you have separated yourself from 49 of 50 states in America, 48 of 50. Only California and maybe Florida are in the same conversation with Texas for the mass production of top-level elite 4- and 5-star athletes. You can talk about the DMV in District Virginia and Maryland because their numbers based on per capita is off the charts. But en masse, for the size of the state and the number of athletes that you get to recruit from, if you're number one in the state of Texas, you can go anywhere in the country and play. Take your pick. The best program, the best coaching, the best teammates, the best cities to be, college towns to be in, and the best NIL deals. The most money from the greatest programs in those states. Because California and its NIL laws, Florida and its ability to simply say, this is we're doing the business of NIL and we don't care if you know. And then the state of Texas, where quite frankly, they believe that their money is deeper and better than everywhere else in the country. And before you get in your humps about, oh my goodness, DP's going in, let me just say that I coached in Texas. I coached in Houston. I did business in Houston. The coaches, some of the coaches that we're going to talk about in the next segment are coaches that I know. As a matter of fact, lived in my neighborhood. As a matter of fact, lived on my street next door to me. So as we talk about this stuff, knowing how Texas business is done, the quality of athletes that are in play, the level of coaches that are in play, because it means that if you recruit the state of Texas, you're getting a certain type of player, a certain level of player, certain style of player, and then you're getting them fully formed and developed more so than somebody that, let's say you're in North Dakota and there just isn't that number of top-level players or athletes in the space, and there aren't that many top-level coaches in the space for you to go to camps all summer long, to go and be measured against other 4- and 5-stars, be measured against the top coaches, to be coached by the top coaches. So there's purpose and method to the madness of going to Houston and recruiting that space. But here's the thing. When you start to think about recruiting Texas, if it's top line, the best quarterback or the best receiver or the best offensive lineman, you're recruiting against Georgia, Alabama, USC. In the state of Texas, you're rooting against, you ready for this? Just in the state of Texas, we're at home, where everything is easier for them and built for them. University of Texas, Texas A&M, Baylor, SMU, Texas Tech, Houston. If you don't even go with the top level, let's bring in Rice. Let's bring in, the list goes on. And then, oh, by the way, if you have something to work on academically, you can bypass those and, I don't know, go to those next level folks who go to championships like Sam Houston State. Who are you getting from the state of Texas? And you're trying to get bang for your buck. You take your shot, you cast your bait, and you hope that you get yourself a shark. But understand, there's a whole lot of fishers out there. There are a whole lot of fishermen out there with a whole lot better bait and a better landing spot. But that's what Matt Rhule's in. That's what he's dealing with. And God bless him for it. We'll put a pin there, and we will go through some of the players who received offers because they stood out in said camp. We'll talk about those when we come back to Lockdown Huskers. Hey, gang, DP here again. Thank you for making Lockdown Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. If you have not, hit the pause button and go and subscribe. Subscribe. Do that for me. Greatly appreciate it. Get the alarms, get the alerts. Please, please, please. And if you're already in every day, or thank you for what you do and for coming and hang out with me each and every single day. At these camps, again, as I was talking about, coaches have relationships with coaches. So college coaches have relationships with high school coaches and 7-on-7 coaches. So that when, let's say that I'm in Virginia, I'm coaching high school in Virginia, so I have the talent that I'm developing, and I have I know the talent that I'm competing against. And then if I'm a receivers coach, then I'm working 7-on-7 camps, and I'm coaching my receivers, your receivers, against the best defensive backs in the area, and then region, right? So local, which is the area in which I coach, the region, which is the best of the area of the multiple areas, then it's state, then it's on and on. For me, I learn talent and I build relationships, because if I'm teaching my receivers something that other coaches aren't teaching theirs, those receivers on the other place will come to me. Hey, coach, can you work with me on that? That's the thing that you do. Look, your route running, your guys run routes better than we do. Can we work with you on this? And that's the blend. So imagine this camp where Houston coaches, 7-on-7 coaches, talent coaches, so drill coaches, guys that teach, fancy footwork and work on hands and that sort of thing. And then the high school coaches, and then the college scouts, right? So you better believe that there were other schools that had their noses around this free event because you couldn't monitor who came in. So imagine that Baylor, SMU, et cetera, had people in the room, or at least in the space. But players pop. And again, the best players in the state of Texas and the best players in Houston, first thing that they look at is Houston. It's right there. It's a program, same level exposure, right? It's no different, right? Ed Oliver came through Houston, became a top draft pick. So there's a method to the madness. Like, there's a way that this thing has value. And if not Houston, and if you don't have the academic stature to go to Houston, okay, Sam Houston State's 30 minutes down the road. And they're going to play on national TV all year long because they make the playoffs at the next level and they produce players. If you want to get out of town, you can go to College Station, which is an hour plus away. But, okay, that's not really a reach. And guess most of the kids who grew up in Houston, guess who they watch the most and hear most about? Texas A&M. And now Texas A&M is throwing more money in the pool than everybody else. And, oh, by the way, down the road in Austin, Texas, University of Texas doesn't want to be outbid by anybody about anybody. It's constant. Oh, by the way, the state of Texas had a university that got a team into the championship game. If you're a good player from Houston, look, if you thought you were dating Texas A&M in Texas, and then, oh, by the way, TCU shows up in the national championship game, TCU knocks at the door, you listen. So this is what's happening. This is what's happening. Then Nebraska has to come in the door. And remember, Texas not only has to compete, Texas athletes in schools not only have to compete with Texas Tech, add Texas Tech to it. Add like there's a whole range of Texas schools that have really good football programs. And it's quite the drive for parents. And not everybody in Houston has money. So for those parents to be able to get to their kids' college games, driving is probably option one. And you can drive 12 hours to Texas and not get out of the state. So, and if you're from Fort Bend, Texas, southern part of Houston, and you want to go over to San Antonio, that's a trip. But these are some of the players that are right. And in the next episode, I'm going to give my own scouting report on some of the players who were offered because of their camps and what happened. I thought I was going to be able to do it in this one, but I rambled a bit too much. So I'm going to have to push it into the next in tomorrow's episode of Locked On. So I guess you're going to have to tune in to get the scouting report of the folks who received offers in Houston so far. And there's been 3, but there's 6 players to talk about who were at the camp that I can speak on from some level of greater knowledge than passing fan. Let's just say that. So Matt Rhule and his coaching staff now, Coach Evans, like he's three members of the staff have great connections, and another 3 have great knowledge and networking, and of course your chief of staff has the power that when your Nebraska's football chief of staff knows every athletic director in the state of Texas, every coach and every athletic director, every head varsity football coach, and every athletic director in the entire state of Texas is now in a 1-degree turn from Nebraska football. Great decision to bring in somebody that knows everybody in the state of Texas. But does it pay? Does it pay off? Lots of conversations have to be had over value of access, development, connection. And Matt Rhule is using all 3 of those to build and enhance relationships with the University of Nebraska and its football program with the state of Texas. His chief of staff is 1 phone call, 1 text, 1 email away from somebody that she already knows beyond just name recognition, that she's communicated with, that she's been in the room with several times a year over the course of the last several years. She knows the programs. She knows which programs are good. She knows which programs are clean. She knows which programs are from areas of affluence and which areas have parents that, quite frankly, won't be able to afford to make the trip to Nebraska. So she can help with the negotiation and the navigating of those situations. She will help Matt Rhule know what these kids' situations could be, should be, might be. And then Matt Rhule, the coaches, can have conversations on the coaching level with the coaches from those schools. And yes, I will tell you that I would bet on the high side that Matt Rhule has a better understanding of who the players are that he's recruiting than previous coaching staffs at the University of Nebraska. He's got more intel. He's got a greater, straighter, shorter connection. Like, he doesn't have to reach over several people to get information on a player. If he thinks that a center from Fort Bend, Texas, could play at the Nebraska level, he then can ask the question, will they handle it academically? Because talented players, 3-star players, don't fail because of talent. They fail because they can't handle the academic load, or they don't have the time management, or other off-the-field issues. And Matt Rhule and his coaching staff is diving deep into knowing the potential commitments, knowing the potential folks that they want to offer, and then being able to talk directly to those coaches and get all the details of things that they need to know so that Nebraska football and the young people have success when they go forward. We'll put a pin there, and we will come back and close by talking about some of the players. And again, I'll go deep in the next episode, the detail of the player as people and as talent. But I'll at least give you the names and set the table for the next Locked On Huskers. Thank you. thank you for hanging out and making Locked On Huskers your watch and listen today. Greatly appreciate it. Huskers every day throughout the course of June, probably 15 episodes. It looks that way, that there'll be between 13 and 15 episodes this month. And then we will, rev up the engine and get it all fired up for July, leading up to camp in August, and then beat Minnesota August 31st. So lots to talk about. And as we've been talking about in this episode, there were 3 players that received offers based on showing at this free camp in Houston, Texas. Showing, which means that they got the invitation, they showed up, and they showed so much athletic arrogance and so much development that the coaching staff at Nebraska, at their positions, and it was mainly 2 positions, defensive back and wide receiver, they were so fully formed that the coaches talked to Matt Rhule on the field and made a decision that these 3 players should be offered immediately. Braylon Prude from Hightower High School, Van Keith Brown, who, if you know high school football, you know the name, you know the city that is Katy, Texas. It is a football factory at the highest level. And it's good about Braylon Prude. It's good about Van Keith Brown. But also there's a player who played in Tomball, Texas, and coached by Sam Parker at Tomball, and it's a really good program. But Damon Demis is a wide receiver who had some off-the-field issue, went through Garden City, and will be able to transfer. And when you talk about the talent levels of the 3 players that we mentioned, I'll talk about them tomorrow on tomorrow's episode. But Braylon Prude, Van Keith Brown, and Damon Demis, those are 3 players. And then there were 3 other players who were a part of the conversation in Houston with some other coaches who coached down there, saw these players around and gave me some insight on those as well. So tomorrow's episode should be a good one in breaking down the 3 players who were given offers, and then 3 players that you might want to know their names. Just put a pin in when it comes to offers and commitments going down the road forward. Again, thank you for making Locked On Huskers your first watch and listen each and every single day. I appreciate you. We'll close with the 3 words we love so much. Go Big Red.